Yo, what up? It's Deontay Harris with the New Orleans Saints. Y'all Saints Happy Hour podcast? Yeah. No bueno, not good. Y'all Saints takes. It's just awful. And I think it's because the drinks that y'all be drinking be having y'all a little woozy and y'all be forgetting like what team y'all talking about or something. I don't know what it is, but we gotta figure something out because it's bad. Let's regroup, reassess, and just be better, you know? All love.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. This one's on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. If you find us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the cool stuff we do on the YouTube channel, which is amazing. And Andrew, go to saintshappyhour.com, become a patron, get 2 months for free if you become an annual patron, and you get the booze bundle. It's amazing. We're the best Saints podcast anywhere. We're Louisiana Sports Writers Podcast of the Year. You should support us. We're having great fun. We're cutting it up in Discord. You get access to that if you become a patron. Me and Andrew are in there every day interacting with people. It's amazing. You should do it. Andrew, we got to preview this Saints-Raiders game. Raiders, 1.5, 2-point favorite. You have been making fun of me all week because I fear the Raiders and I think they are mediocre, which makes them significantly better than the Saints. You have been making fun of me all week, telling me the Raiders are trash.
I get these texts from you that make it seem like Josh McDaniels is John Madden reincarnated. that Carr is like Montana in his prime. You know, that Devontae Adams, he's a good player, but like that Josh Jacobs is like Walter Payton plus size.
He's kind of been Walter Payton for the last month.
And like you pretend like you live in this panicked medium where like the Raiders are a good team. You've convinced yourself that the Raiders are like somehow good.
I don't know that
it's amazing what depths you will go to convince yourself of doom. Once you've decided that the Saints suck, once you've decided that I'm not finished, damn it. When you've decided that the Saints suck and that everything is bleak, everything is terrible, you convince yourself that the Oakland Raiders, of all teams, the Raiders, are like this reincarnated team that is somehow on the level of the 49ers and the Redskins in their prime and the Cap, all of that blended together. It's Jimmy Johnson, it's Bill Walsh, it's all of it. And one team, except for one thing, Ralph. Except for one thing, they're 2-4. Like all metrics on defense, they're like 26th or worse. They are dead last in the league in sacks. Dead last. And if you take Max Crosby off that team, you want to talk about Lattimore being off the Saints and how much that affects their defense. They're dead last in sacks, and Max Crosby has 2/3 of them. You take Max Crosby off that team, they have 3 sacks. 3.
They have no one else.
Andy Dalton could knit a sweater back there if Max Crosby isn't on that team. He could literally knit a sweater and then throw a bomb to Olave for a touchdown.
Yeah, I thought I was like, oh, the Raiders, they got Max Crosby, they got Chandler Jones.
He could build a house.
They have no one else on their team that has over half a sack besides Max Crosby. And he's weird because he spells his name Max with 2 X's. That's weird.
That's weird. Yes.
So,
look, the whole point here, Ralph, is the Raiders are bad, real bad. And yes,
on defense especially.
They present some challenges. I still, as much flack as Carr gets, I think he's pretty good. I think their offensive line is mediocre, but like Jacobs is a good runner, no doubt about it. Especially now, right now he's healthy, he's playing well. Devontae Adams is a stud. So they present problems just
Waller,
like any team.
He'll probably be back for the first time in 5 weeks.
He's cured.
He's cured against the Saints.
He's playing the Saints. It's the magic cure. It's like playing the Saints is like anointing holy water on whatever
I said it weeks ago, and I stand by it. Opposing teams should put people on their injury report who have terminal cancer, and they would be cured.
Right.
They would be cured.
I think science could make the biggest headway.
They could save people's lives using the Saints' opponent's injury report, but they don't.
If you have COVID and you are in the hospital, just go play the Saints and it will fix everything.
Yeah. The Raiders have like 4 dudes who got the flu or something, including Devontae Adams. They have a bunch of dudes who hadn't practiced this week. They'll be fine against Saints.
They'll wake up Sunday and miraculously feel the best they've felt in their entire lives.
Devontae Adams is going to be like Jordan with the flu against Utah in 1998.
But my point is, like, yes, they present challenges. They have talent, and that's like any team. But Ralph, I think you look at Devontae Adams and Jacobs, you see those names, and you're like, oh, the Saints have no shot. It's over. It's terrible. Everything's dark. Everything. Your eyes, like you lose your eyesight. Everything just goes black. But I think that's the thing about football. You got 11 guys on both sides, and a lot of times, like, it's easy to look. I mean, look, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are going through it right now. Like, it's easy to look at superstars and think, yes, this team is unbeatable, but like the house around them can be crumbling. And that's the thing with the Raiders. Like, they have a lot of weaknesses. So do I think the Saints win this game? I mean, they still lead the league in turnovers. Like, they can't win playing like that. They can beat anybody playing like that. But I do think the Saints can move the ball on the Raiders pretty easily, honestly. And I do think they can put up points. So, like most games, I think this is a winnable one, and it comes down to protecting the football. Now, the Saints don't do that. So if they continue to not do it, then they're in trouble.
Here's the thing with the Raiders, and you made a great point, is their resurgence the last 3 weeks where they've won 2 out of 3 is basically Josh Jacobs. He's become a juggernaut. He is looking like Walter Payton. If he goes for 150 total yards and a touchdown, he'll get in the class of a guy that did it 4 straight weeks. That's like Danian Tomlinson, like Priest Holmes. Like, it is a short list of dudes that have done that.
Yeah.
And your point to me was, if the Saints can stop Josh Jacobs from running the ball, the Raiders can turn back to a pumpkin. My question to you is, the Saints have struggled stopping the run. They're not the sort of brick wall they used to be, right, in the previous 5 years. So, Dennis Allen this week is saying to the guys, look, we are stopping freaking Jacobs. He is not going to beat us. So my question to you is, do the Saints sort of go all out and commit more resources, do something different to stop the run against the Raiders, and sort of that maybe opens up the passing game for Carr? Or does Dennis Allen just get in the meeting and say, listen, you jabronis, freaking play better. Do your gap assignments. Play better. We're not doing anything different. Play better. Which avenue do you think Dennis Allen takes?
So to answer your, first of all, did Deuce McAllister ever do what you're talking about?
No.
With Tomlinson, he never did that? Okay.
No.
Just curious. So yeah, as it relates to the Saints, look, I don't think it's really ever been their MO to stack the box and have 8 guys in the box. I think, their whole secret sauce over the last few years is they stopped the run out of nickel sets. And that really hasn't happened this year. Now they had a great time stopping the run against the Bucs and Fournette. I mean, that was
Minnesota
a really good game. Minnesota, they did a good job against Dalvin Cook. So they've been a little bit up and down. But I feel like, and the one exception I would give is Atlanta, where I really felt like Atlanta carved them up. Like, up and down the field, I felt like they were getting 6, 7, 13, 12. Like, they were gashing the Saints. But really, since the Atlanta game, I mean, you could look at, like, Benjamin's stat line last week with the Cardinals, or you could look at Christian McCaffrey's stat line, like some of these other games they've played, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, Carolina and Arizona ran the ball all over the Saints. But, like, they really didn't. Like, they got big chunk plays, right? And so, I mean, that's not good. That's not a good thing. But I think when you look at the Saints' run defense statistically, it's easy to see attempts, yards, average per carry, and draw a conclusion. But I think there's a couple different ways it can go. There's the Atlanta game where, like, to me, that's way worse because you're springing leaks everywhere. You're getting gashed for 6, for 7. They're cutting right down the heart of the defense. There's one touchdown drive where I think it was 7 plays, all runs to Patterson, and they went right down the heart of the defense and scored a touchdown. And that was disastrous, right? And then there's other games where, like, for the most part, like a couple 3rd and 2 plays where they stuff a run, they force a punt. And they're actually, like, some really good moments. But then, yeah, they get gashed for 37 and then 24, and like so it balloons the average in the yards, but those aren't the same thing. And so while I think this defense has struggled, I don't think it's been as bad as Atlanta since week 1. I do. Yeah. Now the big plays are concerned, and the reason I say that is a lot of times when you get to those 6-7 yard runs, you're putting Justin Evans and Tyrann Mathieu in positions to make tackles. And, as critical as I was of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for his tackling abilities, like they've gotten worse at that spot. And certainly Marcus Williams, who's heavily criticized for his tackling, they've gotten worse in that spot too, with Evans and Tyrann Mathieu. So I think that's been the problem, is those 6 yard runs, they don't get stopped there by the last line of defense. That tackle gets broken, and that's why it's going for 37, 24, whatever. So that's been the biggest problem, I think, with the way the Saints operate, not putting additional resources in the box and trying to tackle from nickels from a nickel set. It really stresses individual tacklers, and they have a couple weak spots there now. So that's the reality of, I think, what they're going through. But yeah, look, like the Onyematas, the Davenports, the Werners, the Demario Davises of the world, like, yeah, they got to step up and just do a better job against the run. And if they do, I still think they can do pretty well against the run. Because here's the thing, like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Williams, like they were never like the key cogs in stopping the run. Occasionally there would be plays where they would have to make an open field tackle or help. But to me, those are not like the linchpins of a good run defense. It starts up front with your front seven, of course.
And I'll say this about the Raiders. The Raiders are a traditional NFL offense. They run a lot of two back, more so than other teams now. And I think that plays into the Saints' defensive hand. Like,
well, personnel-wise, you might see Caden Ellis a little bit more.
Yeah, like I think that's a good thing. Like some Saints fans who listen to me, like Caden Ellis, but like I think the fact that the Raiders are this traditional regular offense, I think that helps the Saints. Like mobile quarterbacks and Atlanta running their weird stuff with Mariota. Like that's the stuff that gives the Saints trouble. Like last year, like even this year, I know they had Lattimore against Tampa, but like Tampa runs a traditional freaking offense, and Saints kicked them in the face, right?
Well, if I'm the Raiders, I'm running out of nickel sets, the slot, having a receiver in the slot, 3 receiver sets, and I'm running out of those formations. And I'm running sweeps, I'm running misdirection runs, I'm running edge plays, stretch plays, and I'm testing that tackling at the second level. I'm testing, the ability of the slot corner, whether it's Chris Harris or Justin Evans, to make that tackle, and trying to get in one-on-one tackling situations with Tyrann Mathieu as much as possible. So it'll be interesting to see just how the Raiders approach, their run attack in this game against the Saints. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I would be concerned about. But yeah, I think the Saints still have to keep the Raiders honest, because Waller and Adams can kill you, and especially if you don't have Lattimore, you have to have a secondary plan that promotes coverage. And so I think you have to live and die with your ability to stop Jacobs. Now here's the thing, Ralph, like as bad as the Saints have been defensively, most of it has been giving up explosive plays, and they give up a lot of them. But when they get in third down, this is a stat that most fans probably don't realize. They're a top 5 team in the NFL in third down defense. They get off the field. If it's third down, they get off. They're at 33% third down percentage on defense. So yes, they get gashed for huge plays. They give up a lot, but for the most part, when it's third down, they get off the field at a really efficient rate, and they do a good job there. So, and I think that's because they put a lot of guys in coverage. They do a pretty good job of covering up on third down plays, keeping things in front of them. And, if they can tackle a little better and they can stop the explosive plays, I still think this defense has the potential to be okay.
And look, I know as fans, we don't want to hear it after the game in Arizona, when you turn the ball over, when Andy Dalton throws the picks that he does, and they lose by 2 touchdowns. We don't want to hear it from Dennis Allen. But somebody asked him in the post-game press conference, they're like, well, did you feel like Arizona did a bunch of stuff that you didn't expect and you got out coached? And Dennis Allen was like, not really. They hit us on one play. I feel like they out schemed us, and we were like, oh, we weren't expecting that. But he's like, the rest of the time, I felt like the guys were in the right spots. The plan was really solid. We just got to tackle better. So that goes to your point about that. The thing is, with this secondary, you mentioned that the Raiders will try to run out of the nickel sets. If you're the Saints, right, and let's assume the anointing oils and the healing oils get put on Waller, and you're got to play Waller, and you got to play Davante Adams. And you got Renfrow, right? If you're the Saints, who is the guy that the Raiders do you think are going to be like, buddy, you're getting 15 passes thrown your way, and we're going to see if we can burn you to the ground? Like, who's the guy with the bullseye on him? Because you can't double cover everybody, right?
You know, it's funny. Chris Harris, when I was watching him cover DeAndre Hopkins, I actually thought he played okay. You know, he's well past his prime, but I think Harris was smart in that game. And remember how Sterling Moore was always aware of his limitations, and Sterling Moore would always tell his fellow teammates, like, look, give up the completion, make the tackle, live to see another day. He's like, it's okay to give up completion sometimes. What you don't want to do is give up the huge gain behind you and get burned over the top. And so, you know, I think with Chris Harris, he knows that matchup against Hopkins isn't a good one for him, and he gave up a ton of stuff underneath, and he would run up and he would tackle him. And he, you know, unlike Bradley Roby against Jamar Chase, he wasn't missing the tackle and then the run goes for a touchdown. That short pass turns into, you know, a 5-yard catch turns into a 67-yard catch or whatever. But I do think Harris, like Carr, you know, he's going to take what's given. I mean, that's kind of, he's good at that. So I think Waller and DeAndre Adams, Davante Adams, I think they'll do a good job of doing the short throws and taking what's given. But like, honestly, like, it's kind of pick your poison right now, because you've got Alontae Taylor out there. Still don't really know what's up with I saw that it's a knee now with Adebo, and so it's not just the ankle. So, you know, he's all kinds of messed up and not moving well. So even if he does play, like, I'm attacking Adebo for sure. But then, you know, obviously Tyrann Mathieu and as far as tackling is concerned, and then I would say Justin Evans has been a disaster. So honestly, without Lattimore in the mix, I look at that secondary, there's no one I'm afraid of attacking.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say about Carr is he's a traditional quarterback. The Saints, he's not going to run. He's pretty mobile in the pocket, but you know where he's going to be. If ever there was a week where the Saints can fire up the pass rush, this would be the week, because you kind of know where he is. And Andrew, he's got a little of that panic in him. Like, there's a reason why the Raiders haven't extended him, and he's kind of basically a free agent after this year. Like, if you can pressure David Carr, like, he gets a little loose with the ball and makes very questionable decisions. But you gotta turn up the heat. You know, he's not like Brady, where Brady will just decide, you're not sacking me, you know, or Kyler Murray, he can run away. So I think that's the thing. Like, this defensive line, you talk to me about pressure rates and all this. Like, they got to start delivering.
They do. I mean, at this point, you know, you have to wonder this far into the season, are they what they are? You know, is it what it is? But yeah, look, the over/under is 47.5 in this game, and I think both offenses are going to move the ball pretty well. I think you'll see a lot of yards. I think you'll see some scores. I think you'll see some points, and so I could see this game turning into a game similar to Arizona, where it's kind of a shootout. And so I like the over. I mean, if you're a gambler, 47.5, that feels light, and I would definitely bet the over there. But, you know, to me, this comes down to I don't think the Raiders' defense is any good. And yeah, they stopped the run a little bit, but like, their pass defense is bad. And even without Michael Thomas, I think Olave will get his. I think Andy Dalton will do a good job moving the chains. I think Taysom Hill is difficult to defend, and the Raiders aren't going to do a great job. So, like, I just look at this matchup, and I think it just comes down to who protects the ball better, who makes that mistake, you know, who gets affected by the shenanigans. And week to week, it seems to always be the Saints that turn it over and that have shenanigans. So I'm not confident, but I just feel like Jacobs drops a ball, Carr gets a ball that's tipped, popped up, and intercepted. Like, you know, if weird stuff happens, like this game could go either way.
You know, and we'll end on this. I'm a sicko delusional Saints fan, as we all are if you're watching this. Andrew, because Tampa lost on Thursday night and Tom Brady looked awful, he looked old, he looked cooked, he looked washed, we could be in the dome.
Did you see the news today?
that the divorce went final, right?
Yeah.
But here's my thing about the game on Sunday is there is a distinct potential because Carolina is playing in Atlanta. Carolina's only a 4-point underdog, and like Carolina's defense is good, and they're 3-4. They're terrible, right? There's a possibility where we look up in the third quarter and we're like, the Saints are up 21-14. Carolina's up 14-10. God damn. At 3:30 today, everybody in this freaking division could be 3-5.
You want this
now,
so
some
bad.
Saints fans would be like, why do you want it? Andrew, the worse the NFC South gets, the more I want the Saints to win it.
You know, you want this so bad. You want this 4-way tie, 3-5 teams. I want it too. It'd be hilarious. But you know, I gotta say this real quick about Tom Brady, man. It's just so funny to me that like he went home, he retired, he went home, he started living a life like you and me, Ralph. And like he started to become a normal person, and he had to drop his kids off at school, and then he gets the call around 10:30, like, yeah, you really shouldn't have brought your kid in today. They're coughing in class, they have the sniffles. You're like, oh, you got to drop everything, you got to go drive and pick up your kid. You know, he's starting to experience some of that stuff, and he's like, to hell with this, I'm going back to play football. And his wife's like, what are you doing? No, you're not. You're accountable to me. And he's like, I'm not accountable to you. And so, you know, now they're divorced. And so, dude, like, who knows? Like, he might not retire. Like, he's not beholden to anyone again.
I don't think he's going to retire because I think he's going to say to himself, I don't want to go out like I went out with the Bucs. So he's going to want to have one more year where he proves that he's still got it.
You think he'll go somewhere else, different team?
But I'm just saying.
You think different team, though?
What's that?
You think he'll be on a different team?
I think he will. I think he'll be on the 49ers. Maybe, you know, you never know, man. The Saints need a quarterback.
Yeah, who knows? You know, but anyway, I don't know. Like,
I just want this so bad because my rational brain knows the Saints are 2-5. Even if they get to 3-5, they have all these injuries. The quarterback is Andy Dalton. My rational brain knows it's not going to end well. But if everybody's 3-5, right, we can have a week of incredible fun. Yeah. We can get fired up for the Baltimore game. Like, Saints, just win this game. Just keep hope alive for one more week. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you because, like, they got to get that third win. Like, any of these scenarios that we conjure up, like, it doesn't matter if they can't get that third win, whether it's this week or somewhere down the road. Like, the Saints shouldn't be thinking any further than get that third win because clearly they're struggling to get a win. So
I don't know.
They got to get that first.
I don't know if I'm a curse or maybe it's a positive. I'm going to the game. They've lost 5 straight games when I'm in person. They're due to get a win maybe, or I'm just the Grim Reaper of death. We don't know.
If you can find a way to miss your flight. In fact, if someone that's listening to this has a way to create a mechanical failure type of thing, Ralph is grounded in Houston, please do that.
The last time I was scheduled to go to a Saints game, and I missed the flight because of weather issues.
They won.
They played Eli Manning. It was the 52-49 game in the Dome. I missed the flight.
Let's run that back, please.
Yeah, let's run it back. So
yeah, no, you're definitely a curse. The 3-5, 4 teams at 3-5 would be hilarious. And here's the thing: like, the Saints are terrible. They've had an awful season. It feels hopeless. But when you consider Carolina, I mean, basically waving the white flag. Tampa has now lost 3 games in a row, and they look like they might not win another game this year. I mean, they are in a bad way. And then Atlanta is one of 2 teams we beat.
That's right.
Can you imagine that? So like, all of a sudden at 3-5, you like, as bad as the Saints are, those feelings of like, well, hold on a second, why not our, like, somebody's coming out of this division that sucks. That's right. Why not us?
That's right. Get to 3-5 and be like, you got 9 games left. Just go 5-4. Get to 8 wins. We're there.
We're there. 8-9. 8-9 division winner. I would sport that. I would get a T-shirt specifically printed and made that said 8-9 division champs.
Oh my God!
And I would wear that with pride.
This whole back wall will be a mural to the 8-9 NFC South Division Championship. I commit that right now. The Saints win the South. This whole wall is a mural featuring Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, I just picture like 10 years from now, for all you Saints fans out there that have newborns, 2-year-olds, whatever, 10 years from now, you're in the dome and that banner's up there, proudly saying NFC South champs 2022. And your kid, 10 years later, maybe
5 and 12.
Maybe he or she is 12 years old, 11 years old, and they look at you and they're like, "Hey, Dad, like that team was pretty good that year, huh?" And you're like, "Yeah, kid, they won the division.
They won the division, baby.
Facts are facts."
Hey, we're 12-5 in our hearts.
Red Lives for MVP.
They don't put the records on those banners. I'm just saying.
Right. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us. Share it on YouTube so we can grow. If you're not, become a patron. Go to saintshappyhour.com. Sign up any level. I guarantee you'll love it. You will love that you did. For Andrew, for Thomas running the show behind the scenes, I'm Ralph. Thanks for joining us. We will see you after Saints Raiders. Go Saints. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Ralph thinks the Raiders are going undefeated for the rest of the season.